Boo Hag, retold by S.E. Schlosser. You know how they say some folks are lucky at cards and some are lucky at love? Well, that fit Bobby Hansen to a T. He was the best poker player in the county, but somehow he couldn't find himself a bride. Oh, he proposed to several girls, and even got accepted by a few. But they always got cold feet a day or two before the wedding, and it was bye-bye Bobby. After the third time, Bobby was mighty discouraged, and his paw felt real sore for him. They worked together in the family grocery store, and Bobby would sometimes sit on top of the pickle barrel and tell his paw all his woes. And his paw told him to hang in there, because a nice lady was on her way. Neither of them believed it, but it made both of them feel better to hear it said. Well, the day after their latest talk, the old woman who poled her barge through the swamp to deliver milk and eggs to the grocery store had a long talk with Bobby's paw. Seems she had his daughter who was hankering after a husband with a good steady job, and the old woman thought Bobby would do the job nicely. She suggested they introduce the pair at the next dance, and Bobby's paw agreed. The night of the dance, Bobby's paw insisted that his son dress in his best. Bobby was dragging his feet a little, remembering all those women who played him false and not wanting to go, but his paw dragged them out anyway. Well, the moment Bobby clapped eyes on the dark-eyed, red-lipped girl from the swamp, he was head over heels in love. Her eyes sparkled like the sunlight on the bay. Her skin was as creamy as new milk. Her voice was low and sweet. The bear cuddled and cooed and waltzed the whole night long. And come sunrise, Bobby was all for bringing his new love before the visiting priest who delivered his sermons in the grocery store, since there were no church in the vicinity, and getting married right away. Well, the girl was willing to get married, but not by a priest. "Let's just go to Beaumont and have the judge marry us," she said to Bobby. And he was so smitten he agreed, though it would have been quicker and easier to just walk a mile down the road to see the priest. By the next evening, they were wed, and Bobby brought his pretty bride to the nice little cottage he had rented just down the road from the family grocery. It had a nice front porch with a swing, a big bedroom on the second floor, and a big attic with a window that could be made up into a second guest room, should his new mother-in-law care to visit from her home in the swamp. After fixing him a nicer dinner, Bobby's new bride sat a while in a rocking chair near their bed, while Bobby yawned and watched her fondly. She cuddled under the blanket and knitted and hummed, and Bobby's eyes grew heavy. He didn't wake up until early morning, when his new bride crept into bed all hot and sweaty and fell asleep at once. When he asked her where she'd been, she wouldn't answer him. Bobby was mighty sore that his bride had snuck out on him on their wedding night. Well, when she got snappish and her eyes blazed like they did when he questioned her, he grew frightened and backed down. Life took on an odd pattern for Bobby, but during the day, everything was perfect. His wife was sweet and pretty and loving. She kept the house sparkling clean and cooked him wonderful meals. But each night, she refused to come to bed after supper. Like their wedding night, she sat up singing and rocking and knitting until she was asleep, and did not come to bed till just before dawn. She was always sweaty and cranky when she came to bed, and went to sleep before Bobby could question her. Bobby was very confused and upset by this behavior, and finally confided in his pa one morning after opening up the grocery store. Bobby's pa was awful worried. The visiting priest had gone on to the next parish, and there was no one they could consult but the local conjure woman. So he sent Bobby to her with a couple of chickens as a gift. The conjure woman knew all about the hoodoo magic and was an excellent herbalist. Local folks went to her when they were sick on account of the doctor lived 20 miles away. When she heard Bobby's story, she told him to pretend to go to sleep that night and watch what his new bride did. Then he was to come back and tell her everything. Bobby agreed, of course.